Hello guys, welcome to my channel where stories filled with revenge, moral lessons and love are told. Go ahead and like, share with your friends and subscribe. I still remember the day I started noticing the cracks in my relationship with Lila. We had been together for almost 3 years, and from the outside people thought we were perfect two young professionals chasing dreams in the city, sharing an apartment, and building what looked like a solid future. I worked a 9-to-5 at a logistics firm, while Lila leaned into the influencer lifestyle. She had decent numbers online, and while she wasn't pulling in enough to cover bills, she constantly said it was only a matter of time before the brand deals start rolling in. I believed her. I wanted to support her dream, so I carried most of the financial weight. Rent, groceries, utilities, even the weekend outings that she would later post about as if she had paid for everything herself. For a long time, I ignored the small red flags, like the way she constantly took pictures, but rarely included me in them. Or how she sometimes brushed off my questions with a quick kiss and a "don't worry about it, babe." But when she started planning her spring break trip with her friends, something in my gut told me this wasn't just a harmless getaway. Lila insisted it was strictly for content, a chance to collaborate with other influencers, and maybe grab some photos by the beach. She even said it was an investment in her career. I nodded, swallowed my doubts, and even helped her pack. Looking back now, I feel like I was helping her prepare for my heartbreak. The trip lasted a week, and during that time communication was spotty. She texted occasionally, sent a few pictures of sunsets and cocktails, and made it sound like she was too busy networking to really talk. I didn't push. It was supposed to be her chance to shine after all. But when she returned, something about her energy was different. She was more distracted, glued to her phone, and laughing at texts she wouldn't share. I tried brushing it off, convincing myself I was just being paranoid. Then one Saturday, my entire perspective changed. Lila had invited a few of her friends over for drinks at our apartment. I wasn't really included in their circle, so I hung out in the bedroom, scrolling through my laptop. The walls weren't thick though, and their voices carried down the hall. At first it was the usual chatter about clothes, Instagram followers, and their favorite bars. But then one of her friends teased, "Lila, you were wild on that trip. 3 guys? Seriously?" The sound of laughter filled the living room. My heart stopped. I pressed closer to the door, holding my breath. And then I heard Lila's voice clear as day, dripping with pride. "Oh my God, yeah, it was insane. 3 in 1 week. I mean, it was spring break. I was just living it up." The room erupted with more laughter, and I felt like the ground disappeared beneath my feet. My chest burned, and every nerve in my body screamed to storm out and confront her, but I forced myself to stay still. I wanted to be sure I wasn't misunderstanding, but the details that followed left no doubt. She bragged about hookups by the pool, whispered names I didn't recognize, and laughed about sneaking back into the hotel at sunrise like it was some badge of honor. I couldn't take it anymore. I opened the bedroom door and walked into the living room. The laughter froze. Lila's friends went silent, and she looked like she had seen a ghost. I didn't yell. I didn't cause a scene. I just said, "So that's what you were doing on spring break?" Her face was drained of color. She stammered, "It was just jokes, babe. We were just exaggerating," but her friend's guilty looks betrayed her. I shook my head slowly, trying to keep my voice steady. "I covered rent while you were out there, supported you, trusted you. And this is what you were doing." One of her friends tried to intervene, but I held up my hand. "Don't. Just don't." I walked to the bedroom, grabbed a bag, and started tossing her clothes into it. She followed me, her voice breaking between sobs and excuses. "It didn't mean anything. I was drunk. I swear it was just fun. Nothing serious. Please don't do this." But my mind was made up. I dragged her suitcase into the hallway and placed it outside the door. "We're done, Lila. Go brag somewhere else. Just not here." She begged for another chance, clinging to my arm, tears streaming down her face, but I pulled away. For once, I didn't let myself be manipulated by the dramatics. I closed the door on her, locked it, and stood there shaking, my chest heaving. My hands trembled not from doubt, but from the adrenaline of finally cutting the cord. That night, I sat on the couch staring at the walls, trying to process everything. The woman I thought I was building a future with had been out there treating me like a fool. And worse, she wasn't even ashamed she had bragged about it. The betrayal sliced deeper than I expected. I didn't sleep, and when the sun came up, I still felt hollow inside. But I also felt something else, clarity. For the first time in months, maybe years, I saw the truth of who she really was. I wasn't losing love. I was shedding a weight that had been dragging me down. At that moment, I promised myself I wouldn't look back. I didn't know just how complicated things were about to get, but I knew one thing. Whatever came next, I wasn't going to let Lila's choices destroy me. The days after I kicked Lila out were eerily quiet. For the first time in years, I had the apartment to myself. No endless selfies, no fake laughs while she staged videos, no clutter of packages from brands that never really paid her. I thought I'd feel lonely, but what I really felt was a strange kind of peace. I could finally hear myself think. Still, the betrayal gnawed at me. Every time I passed the spot where she used to curl up on the couch with her phone, I remembered her voice bragging about spring break. Just as I was starting to piece myself back together, my phone buzzed with a message from her. It was short and cryptic: "We need to talk. It's important." I ignored it. Then she called. Then she showed up outside my building, waiting by the entrance like she had every right to be there. Against my better judgment, I went down to see what she wanted. Her eyes were red and swollen, but her voice carried that same manipulative edge I knew too well. "I'm pregnant," she blurted before I could even open my mouth. I felt my stomach flip. "What?" She nodded, gripping her stomach as if to make it real. "It's yours, Eli. You're the father. I know I messed up, but this changes everything. We can fix this." My head spun. The timing made no sense. She had just come back from her trip, and now suddenly she was claiming to be pregnant? I wanted to laugh, but the fear in the back of my mind was louder than my doubt. What if she was telling the truth? "I'm not taking your word for it," I said firmly. "If it's mine, there'll be proof. Until then, leave me out of it." Her expression twisted. "You're heartless. You'd abandon your own child." I turned and walked away, leaving her shouting behind me. I thought that would be the end of it, but Lila wasn't the type to give up quietly. Within a week, her social media exploded. She posted long captions about how she was betrayed by the man she loved, and how she was now a single mom fighting to raise her baby while he refused to step up. She included teary videos, pictures of baby onesies, and even started a GoFundMe to support her pregnancy journey. The comments poured in from strangers calling me every name in the book, telling her how strong she was, and donating money to her cause. Friends I hadn't spoken to in years reached out, asking if the rumors were true. Even my coworkers whispered behind my back. I felt like I was drowning in a storm I never asked for. I finally booked a consultation with a lawyer, a woman named Grace who looked me straight in the eye and said, "Do not pay her a cent until you have proof. You'll demand a prenatal paternity test. That's your shield." Her confidence gave me strength, but the weeks that followed were pure hell. Lila wasn't content with ruining me online. She showed up at my workplace once, belly still flat, screaming in the lobby about how I was a deadbeat. My boss pulled me aside and asked if I needed time off to sort things out. I could feel my career slipping through my fingers, all because of her lies. Then came the official papers. A process server knocked on my door, handing me documents that demanded child support and recognition of paternity. My hands shook as I flipped through the pages, but Grace was calm when I called her. "Don't panic. This is exactly why we push for the test." The court granted the request, and I remember the day Lila and I sat in that sterile clinic. She wore a smug smile, confident her story would win. I refused to even look at her. The swabs, the paperwork, the waiting felt endless. Weeks later, Grace called me with the results. "Eli," she said, "you are not the father." Relief crashed over me like a tidal wave. I laughed, I cried, I even punched the air in my apartment. It was the vindication I'd been desperate for. But I wasn't content to just know the truth privately. Lila had dragged my name through the mud publicly, so I decided to return the favor. I posted the official results on my own social media, screenshotting her earlier claims and attaching the line that said in bold letters, "Probability of paternity, 0%. Within hours, The same people who had praised her began turning on her. Donations dried up. The GoFundMe shut down. And her so-called influencer career collapsed like a house of cards. But the chaos didn't end there. One of the men she had hooked up with on spring break, Blake, turned out to be married. His wife, Veronica, saw the posts, connected the dots, and publicly exposed everything. She didn't just leave him. She sued Lila for alienation of affection. And Blake's company, unwilling to deal with the scandal, fired him. Lila's perfect image shattered. Yet instead of owning up, she doubled down. She sent me fake messages from a burner account, pretending to be another guy she had slept with, a man named Xavier. The messages begged me for money to cover child expenses, insisting I was still responsible somehow. But the lies were sloppy, and it didn't take long to trace the account back to her. Her desperation grew uglier by the day. She tried calling me at midnight, leaving voicemails about how she couldn't do this alone. Her family harassed me too, demanding I be a man and take responsibility. But I had the truth on my side, and with Grace guiding me, I stood firm. Eventually, even her lawyer dropped her case, tired of her spiraling antics. By then, I was exhausted. My reputation had taken a hit, my personal life was wrecked, and the scars of her betrayal still lingered. But there was a strange satisfaction in knowing the truth was out there for everyone to see. Lila could spin her stories all she wanted, but the evidence was undeniable. The baby wasn't mine, and I wasn't going to be her meal ticket. Still, I had no idea just how much further she would fall, or how much strength I would discover in myself once she was completely out of my life. After the paternity test results went public, everything in Lila's carefully constructed world began crumbling faster than even I expected. The GoFundMe page that had once flooded with donations turned into a graveyard of refund requests and angry comments. People accused her of scamming, of playing with emotions, of exploiting pregnancy for money. Brands that once considered working with her backed out immediately, citing reputational concerns. Her online following shrank overnight. The same followers who had cheered her on now mocked her in cruel memes and stitched her videos with scathing commentary. It would have been easy to feel pity, but I couldn't. Not after the months she spent dragging my name, invading my workplace, and trying to ruin my life. I told myself she was just finally tasting the consequences of her choices. But even then, part of me was shocked by how quickly the world she worshipped, the online validation, the attention turned against her. I thought that was the end of her chaos in my life, but then came the whispers. Rumors circulated that she didn't even know who the father of her baby was. She tried to rope in each of the 3 men she had bragged about, and each one denied responsibility after their own tests came back negative. The last man she tried to implicate blocked her entirely. Suddenly she wasn't just a wronged single mom. In the public eye, she was a liar whose story didn't add up. Her family, who had once cornered me with angry phone calls and accusations, began fracturing too. Her mother reached out one evening, her voice trembling with exhaustion. "Ellie, I'm sorry for everything. We didn't know she was lying. She's tearing this family apart." For a moment, I heard the faint echo of the girl I once loved, the one who used to dream big, laugh easily, and light up when she spoke about the future. But that version of Lila was long gone, replaced by someone who treated people like stepping stones to her own fame. By the time her family admitted defeat, Lila was too far gone in her spiral. The day she gave birth, I got a text from a mutual acquaintance. "She's putting the baby up for adoption." That was the final blow in her story. After all the chaos, all the accusations, all the manipulation, she had no one left to lean on. She left the city quietly a few weeks later, disappearing into another state under a new name. And me? I stayed. I rebuilt. I poured my energy into myself, my work, and the people who actually mattered. Slowly, I learned to enjoy life again. The first night I cooked dinner for myself without feeling the ghost of her presence in the apartment, I realized I was healing. The first time I laughed with friends without her shadow looming in the conversation, I felt free. Months later, I met someone new. Her name was Mara, and she was nothing like Lila. Grounded, kind, honest, she worked in community outreach, and the first time we went out, she asked me more questions about my passions than Lila had in years. She didn't care about appearances or clout. She cared about people, and over time, she cared about me. Being with Mara taught me what love was supposed to feel like. Not a constant battle for attention. Not walking on eggshells. Not covering bills for someone who never thanked me. Real love is the kind that lets me breathe, laugh, and dream again. Looking back, I sometimes wonder how I ever let myself get caught up in Lila's storm. But then I remember how good manipulators are at weaving their illusions, and how easy it is to mistake performance for sincerity. I don't blame myself anymore. I just learned. Sometimes I still see Lila's name pop up in obscure corners of the internet, linked to gossip threads or half-forgotten posts about scams. She never reached out again, and I never searched for her. She made her bed, and I finally understood that it wasn't my job to fix it. The sweetest revenge wasn't destroying her, it was refusing to let her destroy me. It was waking up every day with peace in my heart, with work I enjoyed, and with someone who loved me for who I was, not for what I could provide. It was watching her lies collapse under their own weight, while I walked forward lighter and freer than ever before. So when I reflect on everything that happened, the cheating, the pregnancy lies, the courtrooms, the social media war, I don't see a tragedy anymore. I see a lesson carved deep into my life. Sometimes the people you love most will betray you. Sometimes they'll try to drag you into their chaos to keep from facing themselves. But if you trust your instincts, stand your ground, and refuse to carry the weight of their choices, you'll come out stronger. And sometimes, the best revenge really is just living well. Because there's no harsher punishment than watching someone flourish without you while you crumble under the mess you created for yourself. Moral lesson. Life has a way of revealing truths we try so hard to ignore. I learned that betrayal doesn't always show up in loud explosions. It often comes in whispers, in moments we brush aside, until the damage is undeniable. What Lila put me through was painful, humiliating, and exhausting, but it taught me the value of boundaries and the importance of self-respect. Revenge isn't always about striking back. Sometimes it's about stepping aside, letting people face the consequences of their own actions, and refusing to let their chaos control your life. Healing comes not from dwelling on the past, but from building a future so steady and fulfilling that the past no longer has power over you. If you're listening to this, maybe you've felt that same sting of betrayal. Maybe you've questioned your worth because of someone else's choices. Let me tell you this. Their actions don't define you. Your response does. Choose peace. Choose growth. Choose to live better, not bitter. Hello guys, if you found my story meaningful, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, and leave a comment about the lesson you learned.